time together, and we were very financially tight. So you guys see how I just gave it real to you. I mean, I got really honest about where I was in just a few sentences. So think about where you were. You might even have to go back and kind of remember, where was I in life? Number two, what you saw. What did you see that attracted you to want to be a part of Advocare? We saw our brother-in-law, Sean, lose 18 pounds in 24 days. We saw he and his wife earning, our Rob's sister, Allie, earning $5,000 a month. And we'll usually tell a second story that we saw our good friends, Kimberly and Michael Smith, earning $30,000 a month. So this is what we saw that attracted us. What was it that you saw? You want to share that in a few sentences. What happened? What happened once you got on products? What happened once you got started with the Advocare opportunity? For us, I would always say, I got on products, I lost all my baby weight. We both felt better than we had in years. But then when we took advantage of the business opportunity, in the beginning, I would say last month I made $700. The next month, as our income increased, last month I made $900. It's kind of always changing as your business is growing. But I do want to hang out on that for a second, you guys. Make sure you're sharing the business opportunity. Make sure you're sharing. If you've earned income, share that income. If you haven't made any yet, borrow your sister's story like we did. But make sure you're telling them, because people speak the language of MONEY. Everyone needs it, you guys. We have to have it to live, and most of us are dreaming and hoping for a better life, and we need that income to be able to do that. So it's so important that you make sure you share how much you earned. I do want to say, make sure you're accurate when you talk about what happened. If you lost, 10 pounds, be proud of that. You don't have to say I lost 15 or 20. Most people would just love to lose 10 pounds. Be accurate with how much you lost. Be accurate with what happened. But also on the income side, don't feel the need to exaggerate. Just be willing to share. If you think that the diamonds who come up here on stage have an easier job recruiting because we have higher income, that couldn't be further from the truth. I tell you what, when I tell someone, since we got started with Advocare, it's paid our family well over $1 million, it just doesn't quite work. They usually, one of two things. They either, number one, don't believe me, like, really? Are you sure? Or number two, it's too big for them. They can't wrap their head around that. They can't see that happening in their life because it's just so big. But when you say, last month I made $300 and I did not have to clock into another job, that speaks so loudly to them. That's something that they want and would love to have. And when they go home after hearing your story, they may not react right away. But when they go home and they see their bills, and they'll remember, wow, she told me she made $300. That would make all the difference. They're going to remember and they're going to come back. So share what happened. And next, where will Advocare take you? This is what you want Advocare to do in your life and what you are working toward. You guys, there's 20,000 people that took out time out of your weekend to be here because you saw something different for your life. You saw a better future for your life. There's some kind of a disgust level in your life that you want a change. And this is what you're going to share in the What Will Advocare Do for Your Life. For us, Rob would always say, by this time next year, my plan is to be a stay-at-home dad to my kids. We still get to be very involved in the ministry, but he was a family man. He wanted to be home. And that was what he would share. To be honest, sometimes that was hard for me because I would think, oh my goodness, you're telling that to so many people, now we have to do it. But you know what? Every single time we shared that, not only did the people believe it and watch to see if it happened, but we started to believe it. Like, I really am. I really am going to be, I plan to be a stay-at-home mom and dad this time next year. So be willing to, have a realistic goal, but also maybe challenge yourself a little bit. I was always the more realistic one, and Rob would kind of have bigger dreams and goals, and you know what? We usually met his goals before we met my quote-unquote realistic goals. So, if for you want your wife to be able to stop that part-time job so she can be at home with the kids, or maybe you want to be able to pay off debt. A great ending to your little Advocare story would be, you know what? Our plan is in the next year to pay off $20,000 of debt because that is going to free up our family so much. So whatever that is for you personally, share where Advocare is going to take you. And then you want to end with a question. This is where we kind of step out of our comfort zone, but if you do it a couple of times, you get used to it. And you want to say, that you just shared your story, and you want to kind of turn it on them now. You want to invite them to join you in that journey and ask them a question. So if you were talking about products, you might say, you know what, next week we're actually starting a group 24-day challenge. Would you be interested in joining our group? I love that question because it's just an easy way. And then financially, I would always use this sentence and still do, and it works really well. Have you guys been looking for a way to have an extra stream of income? I think the answer to that is always yes. So just find that question that's in your wording that you're comfortable with, that you're going to ask.
And I know that the idea of saying these statements of faith, where I'm going, I know that sounds scary, I know it sounds daunting, but when your belief that this opportunity can take you there, when it matches that, I'm telling you, you'll find the end of that story. And I can't tell you how great it feels to reach those goals, to reach the end of that story. I showed you our purpose, our reason, our kids. And the reason why I said we wanted to be stay-at-home parents was because, during that time when we started AdvoCare, my schedule was I would wake up at 4 a.m. and go to work and come home and high-five Liz, and she would go to work. And if a parent was home, it meant the other one could work. And that was our life. And our kids were still young, and I thought that we did a good enough job of hiding them from it until one day when me and my oldest Maddie walked out to the car with Liz to wave goodbye, which was our tradition. And we waved goodbye, and Maddie looks up at me and says, "Daddy, when are we going to be a family again?" And man, that broke my heart so much. It still does. That my baby hadn't even asked that. And so, we already had AdvoCare, we already had the belief, and so that became our purpose and our reason. And it's why I got half that. It's why I told everybody by this time next year to be a stay-at-home dad. And it's why I told everybody it's my plan by this time next year to be a stay-at-home dad. By this time next year, by this time next year, by this time next year. I said it to hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. Some people bought it and wanted to join. A lot of people did it. But I tell you what, my last day of work, I'm driving in, the sun hadn't come up yet, post a little video on social media saying it's my last day of work because of AdvoCare, because of this opportunity. And I'll tell you, that pay period, we had more people sign up and more people buy product than ever before in our history because we did what we said we were going to do. And we met that goal because we believed it and we did the work to do it. Let me share what a couple of years can do from when are we going to be a family. Just a couple of months ago, my oldest daughter, Maddie, fulfilled one of her dreams to participate in the Miss Preteen Dallas competition. And she made it to the final round, and they had surprise questions for all the contestants. And so the question was to my daughter, what is your most valued possession? She stopped there and thought about it for just a half a second. And in front of 1,000 people, and in front of the judges, with all of the poise and composure, she said, my most valued possession is my family, because they're always there for me. And to be able to go from when are we going to be a family to my family's always there for me is such a warm place in my heart. And I'll never forget this moment that I was able to share it with you.
That was our purpose, and that was what drove us every single day to get out there and share our story and to continue daily, consistently sharing our story with as many people as we can. What is your purpose today? You just heard an amazing training on your purpose. What is your purpose? That is what is going to drive you every single day to get out there and share your story with as many people as you can. Thank you, guys.